When four children discover a mysterious glowing egg in a hidden cave, they accidentally break it and find themselves trapped in a world where time has stopped for everyone but them. Years later, only one returns, now grown up in a child's world, but everyone thinks he's the kidnapper who took his friends. The story begins with Soo-rin sitting in front of a child psychiatrist, nervously watching as the doctor sets up a camera to record their session. When asked if the recording is really necessary, the psychiatrist explains that her memory isn't very good, so she needs to record everything. With visible anxiety, Soo-rin begins to tell her incredible story from the beginning. Soo-rin explains that she used to live alone with her mother, but when she was in 4th grade, her mother remarried a man named Do-kyun. However, their happiness didn't last long. Soon after the wedding, Soo-rin's mother died, leaving her to live with her stepfather. When Soo-rin was in 6th grade, Do-kyun's work required them to move to a beautiful island called Huano, where mountains, ocean, and nature surrounded them. Life on the island was lonely for Soo-rin. The biggest problem in her life was her loneliness. She didn't talk much to anyone and always seemed lost in her own thoughts. She had created her own private world where she believed in ghosts, time travel, and other supernatural things. Soo-rin spent most of her time reading about these topics on the internet and writing about them on her blog. One day while walking home from school, Soo-rin noticed a boy who attended the same school. His name was Sung-min, and he told her that her shoelaces were untied. She bent down to tie them. This boy lived outside an orphanage. When Soo-rin asked if he lived in the orphanage, Sung-min didn't answer directly, but it was clear that he was an orphan with no family. The next day at school, an announcement was made warning all students to stay away from the nearby tunnel construction site. There had been a blast during the construction work, and strange things were happening in that area, so no one was allowed to go near the site. When Soo-rin went to her classroom, she found Sung-min telling other children about an out-of-body experience he claimed to have had. He was describing how he had managed to separate his soul from his body, just like the things written on Soo-rin's blog. When Soo-rin appeared, the children told her that after reading her blog, Sung-min had experienced exactly what was written there. Soo-rin said this was nonsense because she had written it herself, and then she left the classroom. As Soo-rin walked home, Sung-min followed her. Later, it was shown that both of them were practicing the same things that Soo-rin had written about on her blog, trying to have out-of-body experiences and separate their souls from their bodies. When Sung-min was attempting this, his body actually started floating in the air. Sung-min told him he was dreaming and to open his eyes, and when he did, he saw he was still on the ground. Gradually, these two children became friends. Sung-min said he would master this technique soon and asked how long it would take. He said it would take him a week. Soo-rin said this was nonsense because she had tried many times but could never do it. Sung-min said she couldn't do it because she didn't have faith. Sung-min told her he had read her entire blog, including the parts about ghosts and how to summon them, and they would try that too. Sung-min made complete preparations to summon ghosts. After all the preparations, both of them wrote their questions for their mothers on paper so they could get answers. When they tried to communicate with spirits, they didn't get any response because nothing happened. Soo-rin had written on her paper asking if the spirits had met her mother. Sung-min had written that by the time he turned 30, he wanted to be 6 feet tall and have $10 million. When Soo-rin read his ridiculous wish, she burst out laughing. She told him she had asked him to write a question, but he had written a wish instead. After reading his crazy wish, Soo-rin laughed for the first time in a long while. They both laughed a lot together, though Sung-min also wanted to know what question she had written, but Soo-rin didn't show him. One day, Sung-min took Soo-rin to show her an old wooden house in the forest. There, Soo-rin told Sung-min that she was also an orphan in a way. The man she lived with was her stepfather, and her real parents were dead. Sung-min told her that his father had left him outside the orphanage and told him he would have to survive in any situation, even if he had to go to another dimension. Here, both of them had something in common: neither had any blood relatives. Because of this, a sense of belonging developed between them. Soo-rin kissed Sung-min here, and then both left that place. The next day, Sung-min was going to the construction site with his friends. Soo-rin was also there, and when she found out, she said she wanted to come along too. But they didn't want to take her because Soo-rin's father worked at this construction site, and it had been announced at school that no one should go toward the site because there had been blasts there and many strange things were happening. But Sung-min and his 3 friends wanted to go to that place, so all 5 of them headed toward the site. However, one of the 5 boys went back home halfway, and the remaining 4 reached the construction site where tunnel work was going on. They didn't see anything particularly special there. Actually, all of them had gone through the forest route, and there they saw a small tunnel in the jungle. They decided that all of them would go inside the tunnel. When they went inside the tunnel, they saw a glowing object underwater that was egg-shaped. Sung-min thought it was a meteorite that had fallen from space. After this, Sung-min jumped into the water and brought out that glowing object. But as soon as he took that egg-shaped glowing thing out of the water, it stopped glowing. After this, Soo-rin and all her friends came out of the cave, and they saw that the glowing egg-shaped object had now completely turned to stone. Tae-shik, who was with them, said it might be a goblin's egg that eats time. His grandfather had told him that on full moon nights, a cave appears in the mountains, and there's a full moon above too. Here, his friend said his grandfather was crazy and didn't pay any attention to his words or believe them. But Soo-rin believed what he said. She asked him to tell her more. He said his grandfather had told him that when you enter inside the cave, the goblins steal your time, and you slowly grow old and suddenly become elderly. Now Sungmin saw that the hair clip on Soo-rin's head was missing, which was the last memento of her mother. She thought it had fallen inside the cave, so she went inside alone. There she found her hair clip, and also saw that an egg like the one they had just taken out was glowing in the water. When she came out after seeing this, she found that the egg was broken and her friends were missing. Soo-rin spent the whole day looking for her friends but couldn't find any of them. Night fell. On the other side, it was shown that some parents came to the construction site and told Soo-rin's stepfather, who worked there, to stop these bomb blasts because their children had come this way today but none of them had reached home. Here, Soo-rin's stepfather was also told that their daughter was also with these children. After this, everyone started looking for their children in the forest. The next morning, Soo-rin was found in a very bad condition and was taken to the hospital. She was asked what had happened, and she told them everything truthfully, but no one believed her story. After this, Soo-rin was asked to take them near that cave, and when Soo-rin went to the forest to take them to the cave, she forgot the way. Everyone thought Soo-rin was lying. Then the police received a call that they had found a dead body. This dead body belonged to one of the 3 missing children, whose name was Jae-wook. The cause of his death was said to be an asthma attack. Now Soo-rin was alone again because her friend Sungmin was now missing. One day when she was at home, she felt that someone was around her. When she went toward the forest, a masked person approached her. Soo-rin got scared by this, and the masked person removed his mask. He was a very big boy who said, "I am Sungmin, didn't you recognize me?" This scared Soo-rin and she started screaming. Though Sungmin tried to calm her down, Soo-rin ran away from there and reached the road where her father was coming in a car. Seeing this, the masked person left from there. After this, the policeman who was handling the case of those 3 missing children came to their house. Soo-rin told him why the masked person had come toward her and that he had said he was Sungmin. Hearing this, both of them were surprised. The police found a notebook in the forest at the place where Soo-rin had met the big boy. When the police asked Soo-rin about this notebook, she saw that the language used in this notebook was the same that Soo-rin and Sungmin used to use. She understood that Sungmin had written this because only these two could read this language. Soo-rin said yes, this was her notebook, and she took the notebook and left from there. When she read that notebook, the story from where she had gone inside the cave was written there. When Soo-rin had gone inside the cave, these 3 children were outside the cave. They broke the egg they had taken out of the water, and then something changed in time. They got trapped in a time loop where the entire world had stopped. Sungmin also came inside the cave where Soo-rin was, but she was also paused, she couldn't move or breathe. These 3 children came to the city and saw that the entire city had paused at the moment when they broke that egg. Even the birds that were flying had paused in their places. Initially, all this seemed good to them. They went to the city, did whatever they wanted, ate whatever food was available. But gradually, as time passed, these things started to bother them. If they threw anything in the air, it would stick there. They couldn't drive cars or boats. They were stuck on this island. The 3rd boy with them, Jae-wook, had asthma problems and didn't have his inhaler, which caused his death. This was the same child whose dead body the police had found. Gradually, time passed and they became very old in this world. It had been more than 5 years since they were trapped in this world. When they got trapped, Soo-rin was 14 years old, meaning she was now about 20 years old. Now Sungmin's friend had become completely hopeless. He understood that they could never escape from this loop. He became very quiet and gloomy, but Sungmin still believed they would go back. But one day, he also started to realize that maybe they couldn't escape from here. One day when he was lying on the ground, he looked toward the sky and saw some change in the moon. Seeing this made him very happy, and he started looking for his friend Tae-shik. But after searching the entire island, he couldn't find Tae-shik anywhere. Many days later, when he went to the edge of a cliff, he saw his friend's clothes there and understood that his friend had jumped into the water from there and killed himself. This made him completely hopeless. He said nothing in the city had changed, this was all his illusion, and whatever happened was his fault because he was the one who had broken that egg. Now he also jumped from that cliff into the water to kill himself. When he went underwater, he also saw his friend's dead body there. Just then, the fish that were completely frozen underwater started moving, and the next moment Sungmin saw that he was at the seashore. Time had started moving again, meaning he had returned to his world. Although he had spent many years in that stopped world and had grown up, this world was still at the same place where his small friend Soo-rin was still small. Now Soo-rin understood the whole story of what had happened to them. She told the police outside that everything she had told them was true. After this, she went to that wooden house where Sungmin had taken her in childhood, because after reading the story, she understood that Sungmin was still there. Sungmin was there, and he had grown quite big now, though Soo-rin was still small. She told Sungmin that she had read his entire story. After this, both of them cried a lot. Sungmin said no one would believe him that he was Sungmin. Soo-rin said she would help him with this. She brought him something to eat, and when Sungmin took food out of the can, he threw it in the air, thinking it would stick in the air like it used to in that world. But it fell down. Actually, after living in that world for so many years, he had gotten used to that world. On the other side, it was shown that the police found a video of Sungmin, who had now grown up, in CCTV camera footage. Now the police suspected him. Here, Sungmin and Soo-rin were practicing to tell everything to the police, but their story was so strange that no one would believe it. Soo-rin tried to tell one of her school friends who was once Sungmin's friend, but he also didn't believe her. Instead, he threw her notebook, which had the whole story, into the water. On the other side, posters of Sungmin were put up in the city saying he was wanted, and he was accused of kidnapping 3 children. Whoever would give information about him would get 30,000. Here, the boy to whom Soo-rin had told about Sungmin's return told this to his parents and Tae-shik's parents. Tae-shik was still missing. His parents came to fight with Soo-rin's father. They thought that since he worked in the tunnel where explosions happened, something had happened in those explosions, and he was still hiding this from them. Tae-shik's parents wanted to know the truth from him. They said he knew the truth and should tell his daughter to speak the truth too. That's why they were making up different stories. Soo-rin's father got very angry with this and went to Soo-rin. At that time, Soo-rin was at the orphanage where Sungmin used to live, and she told the lady there that if Sungmin came in front of her and he was grown up, would she recognize him? She said yes, maybe she would recognize him. Just then, Soo-rin's father came there and forcibly took her away from there. But while leaving, Soo-rin gestured to Sungmin to tell them everything, saying she had talked to them. When Sungmin told them, they also didn't believe his story at all. On the other side, it was shown that Soo-rin's stepfather locked her at home and left from there. They also had Soo-rin's mobile phone, and when they checked the photos in it, there were many photos of that wooden house where Sungmin and Soo-rin used to go together, where Sungmin was still living. They became completely suspicious that the 2 missing children were inside that house. Worried about this, they returned to their house, but Soo-rin wasn't there because she had already left with Sungmin. Sungmin and Soo-rin went to the top of that mountain from where Tae-shik had jumped for the last time when he got trapped in time. Soo-rin said here that the story that Tae-shik's grandfather had told was completely true, but how did they know this story? Sungmin told Soo-rin that when his grandfather's friend had disappeared many years ago, people had said he disappeared because of the goblin's egg. Soo-rin said this meant the goblin's egg existed in the past too. Then she remembered the moment when she went inside the tunnel to get her hair clipped and saw light underwater again, meaning the goblin's egg had come back there again. She told Sungmin that she wanted to go there. Sungmin asked what they would do with that egg. Soo-rin said she wanted to break it in front of her father, in front of the police, in front of all the people who didn't believe their story, so that everyone would get trapped in that time loop and they would believe their story. But Sungmin didn't want to do this because he had seen his friends die there. He said they should both leave this place and go far away where no one knew them. After this, they went to that wooden house where Sungmin lived. He also had a lot of money there, but Soo-rin's stepfather was already there, and he attacked them from behind and injured them. But Sungmin also attacked them and injured them too. Sungmin was about to kill them, but Soo-rin stopped him. After this, both of them left from there. Later, the police also came there, but they didn't find anyone. But Soo-rin's father gave Soo-rin's mobile phone to the police, which also had photos of Sungmin, and now Soo-rin and Sungmin were trying to leave the city. But without ID, they couldn't get tickets. There they saw that photos of Soo-rin and Sungmin were being shown on TV, which meant the whole city was now looking for them. Soo-rin and Sungmin left from there. The police chased them too, and the police caught Soo-rin, but Sungmin escaped from there. Now the police started investigating Soo-rin. The police thought that in that wooden house in the forest, a boy met Sungmin who kidnapped Soo-rin and convinced her that he was Sungmin. The police told Soo-rin that Sungmin and his friend might still be alive and she could help them. But Soo-rin couldn't tell them anything because she had already told them the true story, and she managed to escape from there that night. She saw that it was a full moon night, just like the day when they found that tunnel. That day was also a full moon night. She went alone into the forest and found the goblin's cave where they had found the egg. Soo-rin went inside the cave and brought out the glowing egg from underwater. When she was coming out of the tunnel, she kept that egg outside the tunnel. The egg rolled down to where Sungmin was already standing, and he picked up the egg. He said there was no need to do all this. He would tell the police that he had kidnapped the missing children and then killed them. Soo-rin said when the police asked who you are, what will you say? She said let me do this, you don't need to get involved in this. She promised she would come back, and when she came back, they would both be the same age. She wanted to do all this in front of the police, in front of her father, so that everyone would go into that time loop and believe their story. But Sungmin didn't want this because he didn't want anyone to suffer. So he took the egg and went to the top of that mountain where there was ocean below. By then, the police had also arrived there, and the police said to leave Soo-rin or they would shoot him. But Soo-rin herself came in front of them and said to listen to his story once, what happened to him. But the police didn't want to believe her story. Just then, a policeman came from behind and caught Sung-min. When Soo-rin tried to free him, she started falling from the mountain, but the policeman caught her hand. Now Soo-rin was hanging from the mountain. Sung-min went to save her, but before he could catch her hand and pull her up, the policeman who was holding Soo-rin let go of her hand, and both of them started falling from that high mountain. Then it was shown that time stopped once again. Soo-rin saw that she was in a place where time was completely stopped. Sung-min was also with her, but this was just her dream. When she opened her eyes, she was at the seashore, and the policeman who had caught her hand to save her, who had fallen from the mountain with Soo-rin, was also with her. Actually, Sung-min had broken the egg again, which caused him to get trapped in that time loop again. Before Soo-rin and the policeman could hit the ground and die, Sung-min caught them in the air and then placed them at the seashore, which saved Soo-rin's and the policeman's lives. The policeman brought Soo-rin home and told her he couldn't believe that their lives were saved. He believed her story, but this wouldn't change anything because no one would believe their story. She would have to come out of all these things, so she would have to give this statement to the police and media that he scared her by saying if she didn't do what he said, he would kill her friends, and this would be better for her. Now the story had come to the point where Soo-rin was telling the whole story to a psychiatrist in front of the camera. The psychiatrist said she wanted to write a book on this story. Would she mind? Soo-rin said no and gave her a page on which something was written in the same language that only Soo-rin and Sung-min knew. This was their hidden language. The psychiatrist asked what was written in it. She said it was a secret. After some time, she published this book and named it Vanishing Time. Now Soo-rin was leaving this place to go study somewhere else. When her father was taking her in the car, she saw someone who looked like Sung-min running toward her on the road, but when she went there, no one was there. After this, Soo-rin left this place with her stepfather, and that book Vanishing Time was published. On its first page was the message she had given to the psychiatrist, and this message was, under the white moon, I could walk with my eyes closed. Darkness scared me, but I could open my eyes. But very soon I stopped being scared, and this all happened because of Sung-min. This is why she had that message printed in the book that only she and Sung-min could read. Then she realized that Sung-min was around her somewhere, and when she went up to the deck, Sung-min was standing there. He had once again returned from that world to this world, though Sung-min's age was now even more than before. But he and Soo-rin were together, which made Soo-rin very happy. With this, the film and this story ended here. This was a Korean film that was released in 2016. Its IMDb rating is 7.3. We hope you like this story.